This is the Cliff Yates Show. Personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and philosophies for a great life.
Man, I'm so excited today about my guest. My guest. We are going to learn a lot. I'm going to do my best to shut the hell up and learn, and I want you to do the same. This man, not only is he an unbelievable business and personal coach, but he's an expert in implementing the things that he's researched to find out what makes success possible. He has started 11 businesses of his own, and I've researched it. I can vouch 10 of those 11 have reached $1 million level. He started his own mortgage company from his condo. It became the top rural lender in the state. We're going to find out about that. Let's just bring him on, Mr. Jason Roberts. I'm so happy you're here, brother. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Cliff. Good to see you, man.
Man, I mean, I should have brought up that, you're making it happen. You and your partner are making it happen. You know what success means. You've been successful, but you started that mortgage company and then you ran right up against 2007. I learned in another interview. So it's not like you didn't have to bust through adversity. It's not like you weren't hitting the head with the hammer of the 2008 financial crisis, right?
No, for sure. I mean, it feels good to say, thank you, first of all, for the intro. It feels good to say, that I've had all these successes, but and honestly, I think success for us, especially in business and life, I think I've had the level of success I've had probably just because I've made more mistakes than most people. You screw up enough and you learn from your mistakes and you grow from them. And that was a big part of that. 07 came, and from 2007 to 2010, I went from being a multimillionaire to being virtually homeless. I mean, I remember parking in front of the bank where my office was. We had the whole right wing of this financial bank. And I went in, and this was when bad things had already been happening for a while. And I was back in our underwriting department, and one of the girls on the sales floor said, "Jason, somebody's stealing your truck." And I remember looking out the windows and thinking, that's not a car thief. That's the repo man.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And that wasn't how I was. I never paid a bill late in my life, and I don't mean to be like, hey, look at me, but we had hundreds of millions of dollars worth of line of credit, that was extended to me as the owner of the mortgage company to lend on. And I've never paid a bill late, didn't mismanage my finances. But when you go from, debt's a tricky thing, and it's good when it's good, but I'm not the same fan of debt as I was. We can have the good debt, bad debt argument. I get it. But at the end of the day, if you don't have any bills, it's a lot easier to navigate than when you do. And, anyway, yeah, that's it was one of the toughest times I've ever been through in my life, and also one of the biggest blessings that I've ever experienced in my life on the other side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if a lot of people probably do understand how that internal stress, since you hold yourself to a code of behavior and integrity, you've never been late on a bill, and so to have, and you're doing the same things, you're providing the same services, and it's an outside source that has put you, and just the internal anxiety that you have to go through. My God, what state were you in when you were running this business?
I was in the worst state of my life. I mean, it was, I could not work at Cliff. Like, I got to the office at 5:30 in the morning. I left at 11 or 12 at night every single, I tried to outwork something. Like you said it better than anybody else has ever said it. It was a circumstance that was really outside of my control. I mean, I remember coming to the office that morning, the morning that the crash started. No, there was no warning. There was no heads up. There was no, hey, prepare or any of this. I get to the office and I open my email. It's 5:36 in the morning, and there's 9 do not fund requests from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac saying, do not fund this loan, do not fund this loan, do not fund this loan. And there was no real explanation as to why, but I knew something was wrong. And I called a mentor of mine, and he's like, I don't know what's going on either, but we got the same thing here. And as the hours progressed, it was breaking news then. And, I remember calling this husband and wife that had a purchase closing at 9 a.m. And I call him and say, hey, your money's not going to be there for your closing. And he says, what do you mean, Jason? I sold my house yesterday. I've got my wife and my 3 kids in a U-Haul van in front of the title company. What do you mean? What am I going to do? And then I had 8 more of those calls to make, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it was, I'm a pretty happy guy. I wake up, I'm grateful, I'm blessed. I'm I consider myself a pretty upbeat, positive guy, but that was 2.5 years of hell, man. Of like, we just couldn't escape it. I mean, we went from bringing in a lot of money to losing about $100,000 a month every single month, and until there was no more left to lose, you know?
Yeah. Wow. And no, I appreciate your state of mind. How about what state of the country you're in? I really was going to that, but
Missouri. Yeah, St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, Missouri. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going because I was in California working for the LA Sheriff's Department, and it was just kind of weird, right? So we were in a beautiful house, and we had our fixed we had our fixed rate, and I had a fixed income and a fixed rate. And so I was looking good, right? That was I was going to be sustainable. But of course, I had several people, they visited my wife and I, like, hey, you can do this and that. And you know what I mean? It'll be variable, but in 2 years, you're going to refinance. So, I mean, that's, and it all made sense since we had houses for many years and bought and sold. So it made sense, but something told us not to do that. And so we didn't do it. Thank God, right? And so
Thank God, man. Yeah.
But then I don't know, maybe I couldn't understand, because all these deputies were buying these $1 million homes, right, on the same salary that they before could afford $150,000. I go, how are you doing that? And they go, oh, it's stated income. You don't have to prove that. You just state any income, and that's what they're going to go by. It's a stated income. That's how you qualify. What? It didn't seem right to me then. And then later on, of course,
it wasn't right.
Yeah. And so actually, it was probably the government loans that bought these other loans that were really saying this was okay, right? They set people up for failure. Is that how it went?
Yeah, I mean, the stock market, it's a mortgage-backed security. And so I don't know if you ever watched the movie The Big Short, but
yes.
It's a great movie, and it explains kind of how all that worked. And it's probably above my pay grade, but basically they bulked all these loans together, and they said that they were AAA rated and they were good. But I mean, I remember, Cliff, like my family, people coming to me that were buying houses that they shouldn't have bought. And I said, guys, I can't in good faith do this to you. And I remember my client sitting across the table saying, Jason, if you don't do it, we're going to go down the street and borrow it down there. And then what? I wasn't doing anything wrong. But like, when you look back on it, was that part of the problem? I mean, it was a mess. Those were products that banks bought from us, and they wanted them, and they make the rules, not the lender. Not as a broker.
That's what I'm saying. They actually set the rules on this thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? No, if you do that, we're going to buy that from you. Okay, and so if you say you have a forethought, hey, I'm not doing this. Like you said, there's 12 other people doing it. So I'll do it with that guy.
That's right.
And so, man, I just think it was a setup, man. That was crazy.
It was super crazy. And it's happening again. I mean, I don't know how we want to go too far down that path, but I mean, it's happening again. I just read the other day that 25%, listen to this, 25% of all commercial loans in the United States, 1 out of 4. So, I mean, when you drive to grab some lunch today, and you look out the window and you see an office building and a multifamily and an apartment, 25% of all commercial loans are set to ARM adjust within the next 12 to 24 months, meaning that their ARM is going to adjust in the next 1 out of 4.
Oh, my God. That's
substantially worse than what happened in 07. I don't know how they're going to navigate that, but that's real. I have a assisted living facility, and a good friend of mine that runs the bank that lent on that. I was on a call with him the other day, and he said many banks across the country aren't lending at all, right? Like, there's a lot of things going on that you don't find on the news.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be a great episode for a good friend of mine. He's a mortgage broker. He actually moved from California, and he's in the free state of Florida with me now, and he's got a team that they just switched. But yeah, man, he's been telling me, like you said, you see things that are coming. I mean, they're in stone that they're coming. These loans are going to adjust. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like being in the, you see Niagara Falls coming. It's like nobody else. It's like they have a wall up, but man, it's just downriver, people. I mean, wow, what's going to happen?
The dam broke, but everybody else's camera's on the other side of the dam, so you can't really see it. But I see it, and it's coming.
Yeah. So you're Are you in Michigan or you're now, right?
I'm back and forth I split time between St. Louis and Michigan.
Okay. Yeah. We have a couple of, maybe you can explain this and probably you can't because no one can, right? So when when the pandemic was happening, 2020, then, my wife said, we can never move from California because of the grandkids. And I said, I understand. And then we got out here visiting and then they shut everything down. And she's born in Cuba. She goes, hey, this is communism. I don't even want to live back there. So we sold our house within 60 days. So here we were, Jason, we're panicking, right? Our house we bought for $499 and now it's up for sale $730. And we're like, oh my God, if this sale doesn't go through, we're already in a deal in Florida. So it's like, a contingency, right? So we're on a contingency. And so we're panicked, right? Man, if we don't get this now, everything's going to fall for sure, And so because of what's happening. And so we got it sold and everything else. So since that damn house has gone up to over $1 million, $1,060,000. And we just can't figure it out because a lot of people have fled California, and yet these prices keep getting inflated. I don't know maybe it's Northern California going to Southern California. I can't figure it out.
I think there's a lot of people that are leaving California, but at the same time, there's a lot of people coming in. There's a lot of foreign money coming in, and California is a state that values just keep pushing up and pushing up especially along the coast. It's crazy, but when it does dip, it's the first place to dip too. And so when this wave happened in 2007, 2008, I remember working short sales on California houses that were, worth $2 million and the bank was taking $1 million. So, they took half. Now that didn't stay that way for a super long time. And then it started to go back up, but big swings up equal big swings down sometimes too.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a couple rentals here. Now, let me tell you, the problem we're having here is like, Florida has lost a lot of insurance companies. They only have like 2 left in the whole state, and they're hammering everybody with insurance. It's just skyrocketing. Yeah, and they're hitting the condos heavy after that Miami collapse, and they're really, we had to do we had a what do you call it? They have special assessments they whack you with because they got to redo these balconies, and now the state's coming through, and you have to pass a muster with these condos based on what happened in that Miami condo collapse. So that's a big thing that's happening here. Although we've done really well because the rents have skyrocketed, along with the house sales. So we made one sale and we did really well. So we can't complain about it. But it's just amazing. But we love the free state of Florida, man. It is awesome. It's like being back in America.
I like it. Yeah, imagine that.
When you're in California, man, you don't even know that you've been demasculinized. You've been defunded. You've been, you know what I mean? But it's just, it's such an being a cop there, you don't realize how anti-police most of the government agencies and businesses are. Although the people mostly aren't, but man, it's terrible. And you get to Florida, it's
one of my favorite places to visit, Cliff. Like 75 and sunny, ocean and mountains. I'm in. But everything else that comes with it, man. I've got a good buddy that lives in Carlsbad, and he feels the same way we do, clearly, about a lot of things. And he's like, it's like they're decriminalizing like stealing cars and all kinds of just make it. It's kind of a free for all. And it's I don't know. I don't know how that works long term.
And you go to San Diego, right?
Yeah, San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah, we always love La Jolla and San Diego and area.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's just we would drive down there from our house. It was about an hour and a half. So it was an easy drive. Just so beautiful there on the coast. But when I went there in '83, it was, and I didn't realize I was going to look at this. I guess California was pretty much conservative up until the '90s. Of course, I wasn't paying attention.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was beautiful, man. It was really nice. Actually, it was a little smoggy when I first got there, and they kind of cleaned that up. But you could kind of move around. You could at 3 a.m, you could actually drive places. Oh, there's no traffic.
Yeah, right.
Now, if it's 3 a.m, it doesn't matter. It's 5 lanes of stop, right?
It's so crazy to me. Where's everybody going?
Yeah, I can't figure it out, man. I'm like, what the hell? Oh
I
man,
guess
I don't know.
maybe to work to pay for the $1 million house. I don't know.
Yeah, the way they do finances, I can't. So I retire. You retire from the sheriff or police out there. You get a great pension, man. You actually make more than you were when you were working. They
Really?
do, and they do
I didn't know that.
nothing. Yeah, and they do nothing to hold that. In other words, so when I moved to Florida, as soon as I changed my address, now all of a sudden, no state income tax. I get like an $800 a month raise. And California did nothing to like try to hold your money there. They could give a crap. It's so weird.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
that is weird.
My CPA said you make your money in California and then you retire and take it to some other state because it's worth twice,
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we got paid really well. I think probably a deputy sheriff in LA gets paid more than most chiefs of police around the country.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. So are you still in real estate at all?
Yeah, I consider myself on business side of things more kind of in the investment space than real estate specifically. But yeah, we've got a lot of several multifamily apartment buildings. We've got a 94 bed assisted living facility.
Wow.
I've always been really focused on income generation. That was my jam for my first 15, 18 years in business. I was always just focused on bringing in more revenue. And being an income earner is great. I think being a wealth builder is better. And it's a different focus. It's a different pattern of focus. And it shifts from how much money can I bring in this year to how can I take money and invest it and create a return that's paying me whether I go to work or not. It was a mindset shift that took me way longer than it should have. But I'm spending more time focused on investments that return money to me with most amount of money, least amount of time.
Yeah, I like that. Instead of being a revenue, you're a wealth builder instead of a revenue maker. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, luckily we had like a match from the county. Not only did you get your regular pension, it was called like a 457. It was a deferred compensation. And they would match up to 4%.
Wow.
So a lot of deputies and retirees, they take that chunk of money, could be 400,000 or 500,000. A lot of them put it with a financial planner and whatever. But my wife and I, we took everything and we put it into real estate just because it's a tangible thing. I see it, I touch it, and it's an increasing, it's an increasing asset that's providing, perpetual income. It's working for you. You know what I mean?
Right. And even with the ups and downs, if you look at the trajectory as a whole from the inception of time, it's still a steep up curve. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Ray Dalio did a on one of his book covers. I think it was Principles. I don't know, but it's a corkscrew, and it was a good representation. But it's an upward spinning corkscrew, so it gives a good representation of even it dips, it goes up, but it's still the overall trajectory is still significantly up.
Yeah, boy, I'm glad I have that book. I've read it. It's pretty deep, but I mean, he knows the complexities of finances and really kind of world economics, right? And how
wicked smart. Yeah.
He's wicked smart. He sees shit coming down the line. And when he goes over the history of what was the main financial source, years before it became us, and we're kind of in danger of losing that, I think. What do you think?
Did you read the most recent one that he put out? I think it's called Changing World Order, maybe.
No.
And it's that's so what you just described is what he went back and basically studied civilizations since the inception of time from a financial perspective, from every, and this is a guy that's just, like you said, wicked freaking smart. And so he identified all the different markers throughout history of all these different civilizations, countries, whatever, and the indicators that cause different shifts in the evolution of them. And basically what he's saying is like, we're on, and I don't want to be like a doom and gloom person. No. I think we make our world and we all need to make a better one. But based on what he's seeing, we probably already all feel this, but we're set for destruction. I mean, it's when debt starts to surpass, it's impossible. We can't even pay the interest payments, and all that kind of stuff. I try to not get real caught up in that because I what you focus on is what you feel, and I keep the news off because and people get upset about that, and I create all the positive change that I can create in a day's time on this earth. But there's a lot of factors, a lot of things that are not good right now that hopefully correct themselves, because it's not on a good trajectory.
No, I'm with you, and I have been trying to kind of balance, like myself, I'm in the world of this positivity and our empowerment and empowering, encouraging others at the same time to know what's happening and this, and I see the alarm bells from people like my wife and other people I've interviewed that really are second generation people that have, their parents brought them here and they saw this opportunity, and then they've been able to take advantage of that. And they're like, no, you got to fight for this because, you know what I mean? This can go away. We know the other side of this. And so they're the ones kind of ringing the alarm bell. It's like these Viveks and Ramaswamis. They're business people, but they're like, wait a minute, I want to keep this system the way it is. It's full of freedom and opportunity, right? So in a sense, I feel that, and I got that entrepreneur bug too, that, man, the entrepreneurs are going to really be a backbone in saving the American principles in the country, right?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it's up to us to do that, because that's the only way that we can.
Yeah, man, it's almost like, when we talk about these world economics, it's almost like you said, okay, well, this doesn't make sense. It's going to be, but I'm almost feeling, it just came to me when you were talking about that people are going to say, then if we digitize and maybe we go to a world, that'll make a lot of sense. And then we'll no longer, maybe they're getting people to buy into that, right? For that change.
I think they are getting people to buy into it. And that in and of itself is super scary. I don't know if you watched the latest, it was October, November that Joe Rogan interviewed, what's his name? Tesla, Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he went into detail about how Twitter was being used as a mind control device, and to me, like, and that what that then means. And there was a documentary a couple years ago that came out about Facebook and YouTube and all those basically doing the same thing. And a lot of the high level execs that left and said, "I don't want this. I don't want my name on this." So. You can program a country or a world to believe a certain way, and like this utopia of you don't have to work and machines do everything, and man, I that scares me to death. I don't want any part of that. I don't want any part of being controlled to that level, and so I think we have a duty to protect that and keep pushing forward with entrepreneurship in business and innovative ways to adapt and change that isn't a computer running everything.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was a great interview. Elon Musk, I mean, well, that's got to give you an alarm right there, because we're on the space coast of Florida, so we saw 2 Falcon 9s go off in the last couple of days. So we're like 22 miles south of Cape Canaveral, so we see the launches.
Cool. That's super cool.
And they're pretty amazing, man. He's putting up these Starlink and everything else. And but for him to he really recognized that speech was, the freedom of speech was going away, or he invested and lost a lot of money to be involved in supporting that. That wasn't in his best interest. It wasn't in his best interest to say we need to shut all gas cars down and go all electric. He has an electric car company. But yet he said, this is not the right way to do this.
Right.
So he really is standing up for truth, regardless of maybe the finances that he's losing because of that. So
it sure feels that way to me, man. When you watch it from the outside looking in, it sure feels like he is trying to save that. Like he said, I bought Twitter because I thought it was bad for humanity. I thought it was good for that Twitter is bad for humanity. I thought it was good for humanity that I bought it. And to your point, to lose whatever, $50 billion or whatever it was. That's it's a super admirable thing that he did. And it's also super scary to think at what level, at what level it's happening to all of us, and maybe not even recognize, like you and I feel the way that we do still, but like, how would we feel if we haven't been conditioned by whatever is like, how much stronger would we possibly feel about it? It's, I don't know, man. I don't have the answer to that, except that, we have to keep trying to bring good to the world. We have to keep trying to innovate.
Yeah.
We have to keep trying to I think you get paid by the value that you bring in life, and so we have to keep thinking of innovative ways that we can continue to bring value to people, to our world, and to everything else.
Yeah, and actually that's a business lesson right there, because goes along with Elon Musk, that once you get to, it's like a millionaire mindset. Really, it's like once you get to that way of thinking, and a lot of these guys have lost and regained millions over time, like yourself even. So once you get to that mindset, you can lose everything and make it back once, twice, 3 times over. So he's already of the mindset, I'm standing up for what's right here. If I lost everything, I'll make it back because I have the wherewithal to do it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
He knows how to leverage what he does have, or he at one point was willing to go down to nothing and put everything all in, and it worked out. But yep. There is a little risk aversion, and you got to kind of get beyond that if you're going to be successful, right?
I completely, yeah. You got to be able to take the risk. You got to be able to stand out, burn the boats. You know what I mean? You got to be willing to.
You got to be able to, when you burn the boats, man. There's no retreat. Yep, not going back. Yeah,
that's right. Our mind will find a way out if we give it a way out. I mean, that's how we're wired. So
yeah, that's right. I couldn't agree more.
Got to put ourselves in a situation where we're forced to show up.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's awesome. So you're into the. I saw another. So are you part of an REI or real estate investment group or company?
I've been a national speaker in that world for the last 10 plus years. So I've when 07 came, we got wiped out, right? I basically became homeless, and I went to a free 4-day seminar on real estate investing. And you would think, being in the mortgage world, well, he already knew I didn't know that side of it at all. I mean, I didn't know how to evaluate a property. I didn't know what it was worth as it said. That wasn't our job. We ordered a $300 appraisal, and the number came back. We didn't look at you know what I mean? That wasn't what we were to do, And so I went to this 4-day event, and I've realized in business, that there's 90+% of businesses fail within the first 5 years.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a reason for that. There's a system that works, and there's a system that doesn't work. And the ones that figure it out, you can duplicate it in any industry that I've helped doctors, I've helped lawyers, I've helped dental practices. I've taken all these different types of different businesses. They're all the same. And when I come across a new business, they always say, "Well, you don't understand. I'm a doctor. You don't understand this." And I always respectfully say, "No, you don't understand. You're not in the business of being a doctor. You're in the business of a medical practice that helps people, and that's what we have to figure out how to run." But I think that understanding what works and what doesn't work is as simple as that sounds. There are predictable things that you can do to be successful in business, and then there's things that are going to lead you to non-success. And being able to see that on a scale, traveling around the country and speaking, one of the things that bothered me the most was I would speak in front of an audience of 300 people, and I would basically tell them where there was $1 million in gold buried under the ground, and all they had to do was get in the car and go dig it up. And 5 out of the 300 people will actually go dig it up. And so that was I remember on a flight to Phoenix having this conversation with God, and I'm not trying to preach. I just, my thing's my thing. And I kind of went on a quest to figure out why do we say we want something really bad? Why do we say we want to lose 20 pounds? Why do we say that we want to quit our job that we hate? Why do we say that we want to, invest in real estate, whatever it is? And we say it for years and years and years, but we never take the action to do it. If I could figure that out, I could speak to an audience of 300 people and maybe get 200 of them to go dig up the pot of gold instead of 5. And I could create a whole lot more positive change in the world with that. And so that's been, that was kind of what that stage unveiled to me, is that I just started seeing it everywhere. It wasn't just a room of real estate investors that only a handful of them. It was, we all do it.
I agree. And so you will coach businesses and people individually, right?
Yeah. I mean, I everybody that I consult on a business level, it always ends up coming back to, I believe that 80% of success in anything is psychological and 20% is mechanics. We do a lot with mechanics, and don't get me, the right mechanics get you finish line 100 years faster. Don't get me wrong, but like, we are all the bottleneck in our own organization almost 100% of the time. And I do really well at helping extract the CEO or the main person, get them out of their own way, even though they don't think they're in the way, but get them out of their own way, put the right people in the right places so the business can actually. I've helped so many people cut their hours a week from 70 hours a week down to 20 and tripled revenue for the business. And it sounds crazy. And I'm the guy that was like built into me as a kid that your job as a man is to work and provide. I'm the guy that went to the office at 5:30 in the morning every day and left at midnight for 12 freaking years. Saturday, Sunday, missed Christmas, missed holiday. I mean, missed my mom's birthday. I sacrificed everything that really matters in life for that dream that if I work really hard right now, someday I'll have this great life. And you can have a great life right now if you do things right.
Yeah, man. And you got a great website. Can they still go to unlimitedsuccessblueprint.com? Is that still good to get a call with you?
UltimateSuccessBlueprint.com. We did a whole free 2-hour training for your audience on how to rewire the subconscious, how to set new beliefs. It's super freaking cool. It'll change your life. Yep.
I'm going to send people there because I get all excited about this stuff, man. I
do too.
Yeah, people, why are you doing that? Because it's fun, and you know what? You feel good when you're making progress towards a worthy goal. And even if you never made that goal, when you're making progress towards something you've put out there in the future, it creates fulfillment, and that's kind of what we need. And man, I'm all about that. And
you're right on with that, man. Money doesn't create fulfillment. That kind of stuff creates fulfillment. You can have all the money, still be.
It's a great way to keep score, and Jim Rohn said it best, right? He said, set the goal to be a millionaire, not for the money, but for what you'll become and attaining it. And so it's about becoming more, but it's something good. It gives you freedom to do more, to reach more, and to have your hand in more things and do more positive things, right? Money doesn't change you. If you're an idiot and get more money, you're just a bigger idiot and you can touch more people. But if you're a good person,
glass. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree with that. And so we're meant to be abundant. Like you said, God, he set it up that way, that he wants us to have life more abundantly. I was telling a friend of mine, he's in your business too, and he was a little bit down about what's happening. But I said, hey, listen, we got to, who was it? When Luke died, and Mary said, hey, God, Jesus, you got to come. You can bring Luke back to life. You love Luke. And he says, yeah, I'm not going to come yet because it's going to mean more to the glory of God if I wait a few days, because then it's going to, so I'm saying, hey, we need to trust God in everything that's happening, because maybe he's letting the air out of the tires a little bit so that it blows, so that we know we have to change them, right? So we got to put some trust in there, right? We don't change
sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, but sometimes we don't change until we're forced to. You're exactly right. We don't change until we're forced to. And so some of my greatest lessons in life came from the pain. So we got to find the good.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's awesome. So you're into the real estate. What's your workout regimen? Obviously you stay in shape. I got to know.
Every day. Usually around 12, when we're done here, I'm gonna head up to the gym and knock it out. That was we talked about, like, telling yourself that you want to do something and then not doing it for a long time. Yeah, that was me for 13 years. Every single day, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go today, and then a closing would come up, a loan up, because something always came in the way, and then I figured out how to shift it, and ever since then, I don't miss. I mean, I'm 4 to 5 days a week. I usually go lift for 45 minutes, and then we'll play pickleball for an hour or two. My buddy that owns the gym, we made this whole back area like an indoor pickleball court. So it's kind of but it's got a glass wall because he was a professional indoor soccer player. So the one half is a glass wall for soccer stuff. So it's our own makeshift version of pickleball, but it's a lot of fun. And I can't do all the credit in the world to people that can run, that can get their cardio by running. I go crazy. I mean, if I could listen to a podcast or something, I can't run on a treadmill. So I like this playing a sport for my cardio.
Yeah. So the guy, I'm finishing up a health coaching thing by Mark Sisson. It's Primal Health Coaching. And so he goes right along with what you're doing. So what you're doing is really the right thing. He's like just like me, when I do my weight training, man, I am done within about 25 or 30 minutes. And then, because he's all against chronic cardio, he calls it, man. He's all about walking on the beach, playing at something, pickleball, move a lot. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If that's your thing, do something that you love doing, and then do that. But you don't think you have to be 2 hours in the gym, and half the people that do that aren't really getting much done anyways. But, you can do a high intensity workout, 20, 30 minutes, and then play at something. And he's big into like every 7 to 10 days sprint, like 8 to 10 seconds, 4 or 5 times. He said that's kind of stimulates your immune system and stuff like that. But I think you're doing it. You're doing it right.
My trainer at the gym, I don't know what Tabata means, but it's
something like 20, that's like brief high intensity.
20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and you're done in like 8 minutes. But supposedly that it keeps going throughout the day, which is kind of cool. I always love all the little hacks like that we just didn't know before.
Yeah, man, you're doing the right thing. Yeah, so it's play. He's got his 10 primal laws are this. So he says, eat meat, fish, fowl, eggs, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. 2, stay away from the poisons, which are grains, sugars, chemically altered oils. Then he says, move a lot, lift heavy things. He's like, every once in a while, you want to be deadlifting, just lift heavy things. And then he's about get plenty of sleep and sprint every 7 to 10 days, play at something, get plenty of sunshine, get some sunlight. And then don't do stupid things. Don't text and drive. Don't do things that might get you hurt or killed. And then always be learning something new, right? Expand the brain, learning and reading.
For sure.
So 10 primal laws, man. I think you're doing it.
That I made last night. That homemade pizza that I made last night probably wasn't helping anything, but
it's okay.
You got to do the best you can.
You know what I'm learning? It's not about the glucose spike, right? For the insulin, it's not about that spike. We're meant to produce insulin and bring us back down to the right level. It's the chronic glucose, chronic insulin, right? Yeah. Chronically relying on that. So, we're meant to do that once in a while. So, it's not about regimented dealing, right? If we can never have pizza again, it's not unsustainable.
Yeah, that's unsustainable. I totally agree.
Anyways, you're looking good. I think you're doing the right thing. And I'm going to send everybody to your website because I know it brings up a box where they can actually book a call with you. So I really appreciate you giving them that opportunity for some free training.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I have people ask sometimes, if you're doing that well in business, why are you spending time teaching? That's always been a thing people say from the crowd. And back to that fulfillment piece. First time I spoke on a stage, I didn't want to be on the stage. It was a guy that brought me up to teach my own competition in my own backyard, how I was doing what I did to dig out of a hole. And I told him no at first. And long story short, I ended up doing it. And a gentleman at the end of that, I always kind of struggled with why God? Why am I good at this business stuff just to serve my own self? And yeah, money's great and income's all those things are great. But like you can still be empty and inside and not be happy with life. And one of the gentlemen that after I got off stage said, I was considering ending my own life yesterday, and your story about getting wiped out and rebuilding gave me hope. And I've been excited for the first time in 10 years. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks of like, this is what I can do that makes me feel good, is make a difference in the freaking world. And if you're blessed with a gift, share it. You know what I mean? Share it, because it might be what changes the trajectory of someone else's whole entire life, and then the butterfly effect of that. So anything I can do to help, I'm blessed to help, man.
Man, thank you so much. I'm going to push people that way. And man, I feel like we're on the same page about, positively impacting others and encouraging others, empowering others. It's a little bit selfish because we get back just as much. When you help somebody else, man, you've already helped yourself, man. It's such a win-win.
100%.
Yeah. So, let's. I want to be respectful of your time. Any last words before we check out, man? I'm going to send people to your website, and maybe, some people always think they're this far away, and they're maybe only this far away. It could be just that one thing, man. Right? That makes a difference.
you're one decision away from changing your life in whatever area it is. And I know that sounds so simple, but it's also so powerful at the same time. Like, your decisions shape your destiny, and make a different decision. And if you need help with making that decision, like I said, we created a whole free training on how to rewire your identity and rewire your self-conscious. And so it'll give you the tools that you need to move forward. And we all get stuck sometimes. That's okay. It's not always the situation. It's how we respond to it. And we can respond in a better way.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me on, man.
You got it, man. You know what? I don't know about anybody else, but you fired me up. There may be some changes coming in my life based on our conversation. It's been a pleasure meeting you, brother. And much success to you, man. Hey, and let's keep in touch and hang around for a second. We'll do a little debriefing.
Yep.
Everybody, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, man. You know I love you, and I'll see you in the next episode. And check out Jason Roberts. He might make the difference, man.